And we're back with more of the Shacknews Awards 2023. This time we're talking about maybe one of the most important things on the planet, water. But not just water that you drink, like we're talking about the best kind of water, video game water. And this category, we look at how the water looks, the physics of the water, what you can do with the water in the game. Is water a key part of locomotion? Do your water levels suck? These are all things that go into if your game had the best water of the year. And sadly, I just have to throw this out here. The Mario movie is not eligible for this category because it's not a video game. It's a movie based on a video game. But if you've seen it, the water is outstanding in the film. But let's get to our actual nominees. We haven't really said this game very much lately. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
I feel
Next
like we're
up,
building to a crescendo with Tears of the Kingdom.
yeah, maybe, Ozzy. Next up, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. In that game, you can put water in your elephant trunk and then spray it on stuff. So that's pretty exciting. Next nominee is Baldur's Gate 3, where I think you can like drown an entire city with water in that game if you really feel like it. So that's pretty neat. Next nomination is Cities Skylines 2, where if you're not careful, you could put poop water in all of your citizens' homes. And I may or may not have done that several times already. And I believe this might be the game's only nomination of the year. Destiny 2, Season of the Deep, has some impressive water. Lastly, our final nominee for this category is Forza Motorsport. Forza Motorsport just has excellent graphics in general, but the water physics, the way the cars handle water on the track, all of that's very impressive, earning it the final spot in our list of nominees for this category. Who wants to talk about the water in Tears of the Kingdom? David.
I love the water in Tears of the Kingdom. I remember the first time I was in a cave, I think, and I jumped down into this little pond, and there's this big splash, and then all the water that I'd splashed out came like raining down on me. It just looks and sounds so refreshing. I could feel it on my skin. And I just think it's those little touches are really, really cool and immersive.
I do like how they use water in the game, like even early on when you're diving off of the Sky Islands, they show you this mechanic that's new to Tears of the Kingdom from Breath of the Wild, where if you dive into water, it refills your stamina meter, where that wasn't the case before. I also do like, with the Zora tunic, that you can still swim up waterfalls. But what they did in Tears of the Kingdom, there are sky islands with waterfalls. So sometimes getting to one of those can lead to all sorts of interesting locomotion. Waterfalls are also used in, obviously, the water temple, in getting to the water temple. So I think locomotion with water is impressive in that game. The physics of water in that game are pretty solid, like building a raft that actually floats and interacting with that. So yeah, I think it's a worthy nomination. I will, just as an aside, I feel like they should bring fishing back to the Zelda games. And the fact that all you have to do is jump in water and swim towards a fish and hit the A button. I know that's easier, but like Ocarina of Time had some mighty fine fishing, and I feel like Zelda should have a better fishing experience. And that's kind of water.
Should.
It's like tangential to the water experience, I guess. But
yeah, it definitely is. I would also like, even if it's just a mini game, because I do love. I did this in Breath of the Wild as well, but like, kind of knock a lightning arrow, fire it at a group of fish. That's a pretty efficient way to grab up some fish as well.
Oh, no.
I want to like cast the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could definitely just throw a bomb at a bunch of fish and you got some fish there. But yeah, I understand in a game where resource gathering is so important, to make getting fish easier is important, but that doesn't mean they couldn't have had a mini game at least.
Definitely.
And I think that's my only knock that I will give it in this category. Uh, anyone else want to chime in on Zelda of Water? Or everybody good?
I missed
Good.
the ice cube move. That's what I wanted. When I see water, it's the first thing I think of. So I can do the. Oh wait, nope, not in Tears. I can't. Not allowed.
You're right. That was a huge mechanic. The ability to freeze water. I feel like Tears of the Kingdom went the opposite direction. It was more like putting things on lava that would dry quickly,
Yeah.
right? Like
Reverse
Use it
water.
as platforms, yeah.
yeah, so water was used that way, right?
Mhm.
Where you shoot water on lava and then you create these platforms. So I do feel like it's still kind of there, but that's a
You
larger
can-
discussion.
You can fuse ice to your weapons, but it's not very effective because
No.
if you get come anywhere near anything hot, it just melts.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, there's a lot of good uses of water in the game, and like you said, you can freeze things and
Use
yeah.
Sapphire. That's the one that has like the water or the ice element to it, right? But
Mhm.
it'll like whenever you hit something with it or something hits it.
But I save those. Yeah,
That's also fair.
because they're worth money. You can get some
Mhm.
rupees for those. So I
You
do
can
that.
swim up a waterfall in Tears of the Kingdom. That's pretty cool.
You can do that in Breath of the Wild also with the Zora tunic. But the way that they place waterfalls, I think, is really cool in Tears of the Kingdom because like
Yeah.
you'll jump off of a Skyview tower and you're like, can I get to that? And the answer is almost always yes, if you have enough stamina. But there's some secrets that are hidden behind waterfalls in the game, obviously, but also from getting to some of those sky islands. So yeah, Zelda has very interesting water and worthy of a nomination. But this category has some very interesting games in it. So let's go on to the next one. I had a chance to review this. It's the first 10 out of 10 review I've ever actually filed as a games media person. Super Mario Bros. Wonder has some excellent water. So much so that the water levels don't suck. And that's kind of crazy. Because Mario water levels have always kind of been not
Trash.
great. Yeah, sure. Trash. But like 3D Mario water levels, I think, are hit or miss. 2D Mario water levels have kind of been hated for a long time. I think it's
I
my
thought
worst.
they were at their worst in New Soup. I thought New
Mhm.
Super Mario Brothers water levels weren't very good.
Correct. And I think there's a lot wrong with New Super Mario Bros. Just in general, but
Remember, it's not
yeah,
water levels; it's water. So, like, if the water looks good, even though the level sucks, it could still win.
But even the water in Wonder looks really good,
Yeah.
That's what I'm
especially when you're splashing the water on the poplins.
the poplins, the flowers. Obviously, Elephant Mario interacts with water, but also there's like these waterfalls, kind of like Tears of the Kingdom, but very different, obviously, where you can swim up them. One thing I love about Wonder is there's just sometimes the game will introduce a gameplay mechanic just for a level, and I feel like they did that with water. Just getting back to Tears of the Kingdom real fast, if getting to the water temple, going up that giant ass waterfall, definitely one of my favorite moments of the year. So, but just these games are similar in that you can swim up waterfalls in both of them, and they're both made by Nintendo. But only one of them you could be an elephant, and I think just being what the water does in Mario Wonder to level design, I think is pretty cool. Like you're able, in some cases, you're not going to get the Wonder Flower if you didn't water the right flower to begin with, right? So I think there's a puzzle solving element to the water in Mario Wonder that's not in Zelda. Obviously, Zelda does have some water puzzles, but to Greg's point, Breath of the Wild had way more stuff like that because of the powers in it. Anyone else want to chime in on Wonder's water? Oh, good.
I've missed getting to swim up waterfalls. It's something I feel like I haven't really gotten to do since Mario 3. And Wonder makes it look so crisp. I really enjoyed it.
It really does feel like Wonder takes some of the best elements of Mario 3 and the best elements of Mario World and makes a new experience. Because I see like both. I see influences of both games in it, but you're right. We haven't had a whole lot of like overworld water in Mario games lately. I'm curious if they're gonna have to make Super Mario Maker 3, right? I'm just curious.
That's way down the road.
Look, it's gonna happen though. I'm just curious, like, what is the Wonder Game mode going to look like? Like, how much of that are we going to be able to actually mess with? Because
You can
it's
record
so,
dialogue for flowers.
It's so intricate, dude. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the horrible things that people would say with flowers if they could?
I don't have to
that?
imagine. I'm on Twitter.
That's true. And the game's already been, the ROM has already been leaked and hacked to do all sorts of terrible things. But that's not what this is about. This is about water. Let's get back to it. Baldur's Gate 3. Sam, you played this for a few minutes, right?
Yeah, I think I dabbled a little bit in BG3.
How do you feel about the water in it?
Surprised. Because I didn't utilize water at all in my playthrough. And when TJ actually brought this up for the nominations, he was like, I want to nominate, he put forth that we nominate BG3. And I was like, why? What do you, like, what aspect of water? Like, I looked at the water, I'm like, that's some water, cool. But he said that, you can throw bottles of water to create puddles on the ground and then electrocute them with your lightning spells or freeze them with your, like, ice spells to create a slick terrain that enemies can slip over and fall on. It's, for me, when a game implements water, it's I like it to be more than just like a feature that you move through. To be able to utilize it in some capacity, I think is really cool. And the fact that I could get through the entire campaign without utilizing it and then be pleasantly surprised to learn about it, I'm like, cool, man, maybe I'll make a sorcerer, like a water bending sorcerer that just relies on electrifying and freezing my foes.
I think it
somebody
speaks
talk
to
to
how
me about.
Sorry, go ahead, Bill.
You mentioned something, Asif, so I wanted to ask this: is drowning a city a thing? Can anyone confirm or deny? I know that I don't know if that's a spoiler because I haven't gotten nearly that far.
I guess that's not a thing. I was mixing up with the electrocution of several enemies, but you can
that's gonna be a big selling point for me.
I don't know if you can drown a city, but I know you can set an entire city on fire pretty easily in the game.
I still think the water sounds pretty cool based on TJ's story as well.
Yeah.
I would also to the water in Baldur's Gate 3, because not only can you just pick up a water bottle and throw it, but even like there's a spell called Create and Destroy Water. And it's something I knew the spell existed because it's also from D&D. But like I had one combat encounter I was doing where, like, obviously when you're fighting in Baldur's Gate 3, there's like a million different icons that you can look at. And I was like, what's that weird status effect on my character? And it was that I was like standing in water. Like it was like they were like drenched in water was like my status effect. Yeah, I realized like my whole party was standing in a pool of water. I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's bad. I was like, the fact that the game's telling me that I'm in water right now this turn seems bad. And then right next turn, an enemy like froze it all and we couldn't move, or we could try to move and then we were falling over. It just like flipped the entire combat scenario upside down. Because unbeknownst to me, I just walked into a very large puddle. And I started doing it to people because my sorcerer had like a lightning spell. So I would just have Shadowheart create water, and then I would just like do this just disgusting chain lightning on the people. It was a lot of fun. So
that's really cool.
Very good water.
So I started playing.
Oh, sorry, Bill. Go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say I started playing Baldur's Gate before my friends because I think I actually ended up with an early copy, even though I wasn't reviewing it. I think we got a few of them. And so when the game came out, they all started playing it, and I quickly kind of fell off Baldur's Gate because I was playing it alongside people who are very, very into D&D. So they understood everything about the game, and it was like listening to people talk in another language while I played, and I was like, I can't be here. But the one thing that I figured out you could do in this game that they didn't figure out was you could use water to clean yourself. And it was just by accident.
You serious?
I didn't know.
I'm covered in blood in all of the cutscenes. I didn't know you could do that.
It was at the camp or whatever, and I looked at it and I noticed that my character had blood on it, and I was like, if they're gonna allow you to see the blood, I bet you they will allow you to clean it off. And I literally just walked into the water at camp and then zoomed in and was like, I'm clean. That was my water moment. So Sam's mind is blown again.
That's really good water, I gotta
Yeah.
say. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the prettiest water. It's the physics and the usage of water in the game. And I think we're making a very good case for how diverse the water, like how many options you have with the water
Yeah.
in Baldur's Gate 3.
And it's not just like as a tool you can use without, going into too many spoilers or anything. There's a section in Act 3 where you visit an area that has a lot of water, and you have a time limit where you've only got 6 turns in order to complete your objective and get out before it floods. And so the water is like coming in, and there's this like, pressure to it. So it's not just something that you can like throw at people. It actually is involved in how you deal with an encounter against your will.
I mean,
Awesome.
I will say, like,
Well,
there's a
this-
scene where you go down those harpies, and just seeing the coastal Clearwater was really impressive. Like, I stopped for a minute, I was like, that looks like really pretty. Like, it wasn't doing anything; it was just existing. But I had to like stop for a minute and be like, that looks like good water.
Nice. Well, I think we've sung the praises of Baldur's Gate 3's water enough. Let's move on to City Skylines 2. Cities 2, talk about water here. You can control all sorts of things. You can control the groundwater. You can figure out where you're going to dump your sewage. All sorts of fun things with water.
You can sell it.
Yeah, you can
sell
sell
your
it.
water, yeah.
That's right. You can export. I think you can export a lot of things in Cities 2.
You can.
That weren't possible in the first one. It just seems like they've taken water to another level in this, and they've improved the distribution of it with like the roads, coming with pipes now, as opposed to having to figure out your underground network as alongside your road network. It's like, no, just put it next to a road. Being able to connect things more easily. Little things like the protractor are huge, I think, like just for making things easier and like building out your grid. That was a mod that existed for Cities 1, but they just made it part of Cities 2. I feel like that's a lot of Cities 2. Is there were mods that existed that are now just kind of part of the game. But yeah, the water in Cities 2 is pretty fun. And
it's life or death, right? Like it is almost always a factor, whether it's you have enough of it and your people are happy and it's clean, or you don't have enough of it or it's not clean. And I remember when I was showing City Skylines 2 to you and Donovan in Discord, and I was taking it so literally that I was looking at the arrows in the water that show the direction of flow, and it was actually like my sewage plant was infecting the water with sewage, obviously. And I was like, but it's not going near my water treatment plant. And you guys are like, it doesn't matter. It's downriver. It's irrelevant. And I'm like,
yeah.
Ever since I just took that whole like, doesn't matter if the coloring matches up or if the grid lines match up. No poop upriver from your water treatment plants. Simple as that.
And then like I also like that, you have to build dumps, right? Like garbage dumps in the game.
Yeah.
That affects the surrounding groundwater. Like, so if you do one of those pumping stations that are on land and you're near a dump, you're going to start poisoning your citizens too. So like I think it's a key mechanic in the game. And it's not necessarily that, oh, the water looks amazing. It's more kind of like Baldur's Gate, where the things that you do with water in Cities 2 are very intricate. And it's a set of systems that I think are fun to watch, even when you mess up. It's pretty fun to watch.
As the mayor of O'Crea's Run, I can tell you that I would be tied up in legal trouble for many, many years based on the amount of people in my city that died because I was putting poop in their water. So, and they tweeted me or whatever that in-game social thing was. I heard about it nonstop. It was like the water's ass. What are you doing? You suck. Like
literally
resign. Yeah, the water is literally ass. Yeah.
They were more mad at me about traffic than anything. But
do it
yeah,
too.
traffic will do it, right? But I did think it was kind of neat when I was like, I had like a groundwater pumping station, and then like it was kind of close to a dump. But that moment where I was like, wow, groundwater is a system in this game where it wasn't before. I thought that was kind of neat. It was different than Cities 1. A worthy nomination, and definitely different, right? This category is full of different games this year that use water differently. Next up is Destiny 2's only nomination this year, Destiny 2 Season of the Deep. You know, maybe it wasn't a great year for Destiny in some ways, so maybe they didn't get as many nominations as they would have, but there was some mighty fine water this year.
I was gonna say it is tough to get the entire Shack staff on board with a Destiny 2 nomination when things are going well. It's still a massive uphill battle. When things are going poorly, it's cool water. I think that it definitely fits in the gameplay. Like it does affect gameplay. I thought that the air bubble mechanic underwater was really cool, and the way that when you were underwater and running out of air, you would start to hear like the cracking and the pressure. I guess it wasn't air bubbles. It was like pressure though, right, Sam? Those bubbles.
Yeah, they were air balls.
Were they? Okay. But you would
They
like the
stole
way that
that
you would
from
just
Mario
hear.
64.
I'm sure lots of things have been stolen from that. Hearing the
Sonic.
cracking of like
Sonic.
your suit for like your diving suit underwater as like the pressure was mounting, and just the struggle for air. I thought it was really neat. I know that some people were like blah water levels, but I thought it looked good. I thought it added something interesting that wasn't there before. Yeah, I thought it was pretty neat water.
Sam, you were trying to run a solo. Was that a solo raid?
Solo dungeon.
Solo dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to use the water a lot in that run. Am I right?
Yeah, did.
Why?
Good question, Asif. That was a good. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the underwater guy in his dungeon team, so he was at himself.
I'm sorry I'm sorry if I sound like a casual asking this, but I'm sitting there watching Sam, and it's just frustrating because you were on the struggle bus there.
Yeah,
But
man.
it
I was on
seemed-
Struggle Street, resident number one.
And it seemed like the water was there to help.
Yeah. I mean, part of the mechanic is you have to go down underneath water to figure out the symbols to activate the symbols that you need to get to a damage phase. So I had to, in order to get to a damage phase, go down, activate what I needed to, then come back up. So yeah, there's this in and out of the water, different environment that you're dealing with.
Because I feel like I saw that stretch of water probably like 60 times in that stream.
Yeah, you and me both, brother.
Okay.
It's a bad
it looked
example
nice.
though.
It looked nice.
It does. It looks really nice.
It's nice water.
It's
I'll give
lovely.
them that.
There's lovely coral under there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very atmospheric. That's for sure.
The frustration
like-
though is an outlier in that case, because normally you would have 3 people
Mm.
and 2 of them would be possibly safe above ground, or not safe because it's an absolute shit show above ground too, but 2 of them would be out of the water and 1 of them would be into the water, and it's a lot more manageable with a team. So I think when you're Sam and you're almost always dead and trying to stay alive, and then you're getting kicked underwater by a boss, you're probably tired of that at about the 45-minute mark. So
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that Bungie has also just added this new way to interact with the game. Like, there's not been a new environmental element that impacts players too much. The last one, like at a stretch, I would say would be Beyond Light with the snowstorms that come in. But otherwise, the movement in Destiny and the way that you traverse through an area has been consistent since the game launched 10 years ago. So to have this new way and new means of movement is interesting. Yeah.
Do you think we're going to see more water levels or experiences in Destiny 2?
Probably.
The other thing they added about water that was interesting, they did add fishing, which involves water, but it doesn't really involve it in, a super interactive way. Like, you see the fish come out of it, but they actually added collectibles that you could, when you were going through the different water portions of the story missions, you could pick up certain collectibles, and then when you would go back to your hub, they'd be displayed in an aquarium. And the same thing for the fish that you caught, you were like filling your aquarium. So like you'd come back and see like all the different fish that you'd caught swimming around in the aquarium.
So just out of curiosity, this game is what, going to be 7 years old next year, or
2017
whatever?
release date for Destiny 2.
Yeah. So, what took them so long to bring water to this game? What do you guys think?
Maybe ideas of like how to use it.
Okay.
I think for me, and I know this is kind of like a deep cut on what's a very light topic of water. The breakneck pace at which they need to produce content probably excluded them from trying new things more often. So
Okay.
having to pump out something to do every week and a full season of story and everything every 3 months, a raid a year, 2 dungeons a year, whatever. It's like the amount of like innovation that you can have on the regular gameplay sort of like takes a back seat to try to keep up with that schedule.
Well, I may be an old-timey FPS player from the 90s, but Duke Nukem 3D shipped with water. Just saying. Sorry about it. On to the next one. Forza Motorsport. We don't have Jan here to talk about, who did review the game for us, but I have played it and taken a look at it. Forza has some mighty fine water. Like, the game looks awesome, and as in other nominees in this category, it does affect the physics of the game. So the way your vehicle handles on a road, I think it was more noticeable in the Horizon series because the weather would change in the open world. But when you're in a rain race in Forza, your tires are affected, your handling's affected, the top speeds are affected, and also just the rain looks outstanding in it. So this is one of those things where this studio makes gorgeous games every other year. They deserve the nomination. I don't know if they're going to win or gain many votes here because there's some other really good nominees in this category, but Forza has good rain this year. Or sorry, good water in general, but I don't think we need to belabor the point. If you haven't, go check out our gameplay footage of Forza Motorsport. It's a Game Pass game too, so if you subscribe to that platform, you can try out the game for free. And if you miss this one, trust me, there's another Forza coming. Don't worry, there's another Forza coming. It'll probably be Horizon. But yeah, let's vote. What do you say? You guys want to vote? Sound like a plan? Okay. Steve, what's your best water of the year?
I am going with Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, being able to jump from God knows how high and not die by landing in water, and then climb up a waterfall is pretty cool.
Also, water is contained in tears. So you could argue that the whole tears mechanic is part of why it would be best water. I may have just convinced myself to vote for this. Sam.
I'm gonna have to go with Baldur's Gate 3. The fact that I can finish the game and be totally unaware of how I can use water, and now get told that I could have washed all the blood and viscera off my characters for the cutscenes.
That just speaks to the replay value of Baldur's Gate 3. The fact that you can play that over and over and over again with different builds and have completely different experiences, that's awesome. And that everyone has a different story of how they used something or didn't use something. I just think that's cool. It speaks to how well designed the game is.
Phenomenal game.
And all the things we talked about where you can wash blood off your body and you can, it's just cool.
Electrify people, freeze them,
Since we've nominated Baldur's Gate 3 for this award, we have multiple staff members have learned 2 different things you can do with water that they didn't realize, and I know that somewhere out there is a use case for water in Baldur's Gate 3 that we have not discovered, and I'm going to give it my vote.
Okay. Ozzy.
I really like Mario Wonder, but when you stand at the ferry with the great fairies and you see the water come down, you really appreciate Tears of the Kingdom. So I'm going to vote for Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Greg.
Oh God, City Skyline 2 had such great water. You have muddy water, clean water, drinking water, and in Awesome's case, poopy water. So you have
No, Bill's case. My citizens are not drinking poo water. That was Cities 1. That was Cities 1, and it wasn't even that they were drinking it. I overflowed my city with poop water, and then I bulldozed it, and I built an elementary school there that I then named Poo Water Elementary School. Get your facts right.
I feel like that was
Let
a
the
debate
record
question
show.
on a political debate. No, that was another city, and I did a mistake.
Yes, it was on Nintendo Switch. It was years ago. I did not poison my citizens recently in Cities 2.
I'm
I
gonna
may
do
have.
Baldur's Gate 3. I think that water it just looks gorgeous on top of whatever you can do with it as well.
It's a good combination of looking cool and being able to do cool things, right? Donovan.
I am also gonna roll with Baldur's Gate 3. Been a while since water was that cool.
Wow. David.
Yeah, I went into this backing Zelda, but Baldur's Gate 3's water sounds pretty damn cool, so I'll go BG3.
Okay. Denny.
Man, I was also, torn between City Skylines and Tears of the Kingdom, but we just the conversation here about Baldur's Gate 3, having what I've seen in that game with their water, and I think I'm gonna go that route now.
Okay. So Denny is on Baldur's Gate 3 as well, which means my vote doesn't matter. I feel like I might have counted this wrong.
What did
Steve,
TJ vote for?
Steve, you picked Tears of the Kingdom, right? Oh yeah, TJ.
Yes, I did.
TJ picked Tears of the Kingdom. So yeah, my vote doesn't matter. So I'll vote for. Yeah, I'm gonna vote for Forza. Since my vote's meaningless anyway. Like maybe if it was close between Zelda and Baldur's Gate, I would have weighed in on that. But yeah, I don't think Forza gets enough love for just how good it is, like from a presentation standpoint, graphically.
Mhm.
But yeah, congratulations to Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studios. They're winner of the best water of 2023 here at the Shacknews Awards.